If you weren't the CEO's daughter, I wouldn't be dating you. You're such a plain girl. He says this and pours beer over my head. He's getting drunk, and the insults won't stop. I can't believe what's happening and remain silent despite the abuse. Sorry to keep you waiting. But a voice from behind interrupts, and my boyfriend's expression changes. Without looking back, I get into the car as directed. My name is Mia. Growing up as the daughter of a CEO at the company, I was always treated delicately. I was fed up with adults who changed their behavior once they realized my father's presence behind me. Originally, I was a quiet child who preferred being alone. I started trying to blend in with the surroundings as I grew older. I suppressed myself to avoid standing out. Even friends I made through such efforts would leave once they learned about my father's job. Although I sometimes resented my father's occupation, my perspective changed when I started studying business in college. Through my college lectures, I began to understand the difficulty of maintaining stable performance over the long term, like my father. I became interested in his company. Listening to his passion and ideas for the company further piqued my interest, and I delved deeper into my studies. You have good grades in college and seems to have a knack for management, so I could eventually entrust the company to you. My father said. If that were to happen, I wanted to create a corporate culture where employees were close and could speak freely. Having felt lonely as a child, I longed for an atmosphere where titles and positions didn't matter, and everyone could express themselves openly. It would be wonderful to make the company like that when I become the CEO. The bustling downtown area in the evening is full of various people. Seeing the clock hands pointing to 6:50, I feel relieved. I always wanted to arrive before Sam. I take out a small hand mirror to adjust my bangs. I also check the position of my permed hair and light blue hair accessory. As I put the mirror back into my handbag, I spot Sam in a suit making his way through the crowd. I wave back at Sam, who is smiling. The place we enter together is our usual bar. We order simple snacks and draft beer and toast. I love spending Friday nights talking about work and trivial things in a casual setting. Sam and I started dating in our senior year of college, and it's been almost 2 years. We met because we were in the same seminar. Sam noticed me, a quiet person hiding in the shadows, and spoke to me. Sam, who is good at talking and subtly energizes those around him. I'm lucky to be dating him. The planning department at headquarters is tough, lots of overtime. But it's rewarding, so I can keep going. Says Sam, finishing his drink, clearly tipsy. Being assigned to the planning department means they expect a lot from you. You're amazing, Sam. When will you move from the factory to headquarters? We could have lunch together if you were there. After graduating from college, I asked my father to let me work at the factory. I had a strong desire to understand the field. I want to have lunch with you, Sam, but I like and fit the factory work. Really? I think you'd look better working at headquarters in nice clothes instead of work clothes. Sam looks at me, waiting for a response. Not at all, I feel comfortable in work clothes. Sam, can we order more food? I'm getting hungry. Something feels off. I've managed to dodge the issue, but lately, Sam seems like he wants to say something. Could it be that he found out I'm the CEO's daughter? Suddenly, a cold chill runs down my spine. Memories of close friends leaving once they discovered I was the CEO's daughter resurface. I didn't want to experience that again. I can't tell Sam that I'm the CEO's daughter, and he must never find out. As I ride the sparsely occupied train, I gaze out the window. Enjoying the scenery through the glass is part of my daily commute routine. It's a sunny Monday. As the train moves, the view changes from gray buildings to a lush green landscape lined with trees. Soon, we cross a particularly large river, signaling that my stop is getting closer. The river's surface reflects a vivid blue, sparkling in the sunlight. I watch an elderly man and his puppy crossing the bridge grow smaller in the distance. Mia, good morning. You're early. A colleague greets me as I exit the station gates. Good morning. I always come at this time on Mondays. It's Henry, 2 years my senior. He's a friendly person who talked to me on my first day and has helped me ever since. We walk towards the factory, chatting about various things. After preparing, I take my position, and soon the workday begins. It should have been a usual day, proceeding as always. However, an unexpected incident occurs. Just before the afternoon shift starts after lunch, my father arrives for an inspection. As I leave the break room, I run into him, and he asks me to deliver a message to my mother. Apparently, he forgot his phone at home. Though I could send it from my computer, it's easier this way. "Thanks, Mia," he says with a smile. As I watch him head towards the work area and turn around, I find Henry there. He's peeking out from a conference room door, half open. "Wait, Mia, are you Mr. Tanner's daughter?" "What do I do?" Henry overheard. I scramble to come up with an excuse but can't think of one quickly enough. Regret washes over me for carelessly chatting with my father. Now, Henry's attitude towards me is bound to change. Word will spread through the factory, and everyone might start keeping their distance. While these thoughts whirl in my mind, Henry says, "In that case, Mia, there's something I need your help with. There are a lot of systems that need changing. Can you tell him?" Henry's usual demeanor confuses me, but his request piques my interest. "What kind of systems?" I ask, and Henry gives a brief explanation. I want to know more, but the start of the shift is approaching. We agree to discuss the details after work and return to our positions. We hurry to our respective workstations. Even after finding out I'm the CEO's daughter, Henry doesn't change his attitude towards me. On the contrary, he acts as if it doesn't matter at all. Feeling the weight I've been carrying melt away, I head up the stairs to the work area. I'm sitting across from Henry at a fast food place near the station. Our conversation from earlier in the day unexpectedly picked up. In short, Henry wants the decision-making power to be given to the field. Currently, any changes to the standard manual require approval from headquarters. This applies to even the smallest changes, necessitating an approval request from the factory, followed by an inspection from headquarters. It takes time to get approval afterward. Situations often change while waiting for approval, making the requested changes unnecessary, but even canceling the request takes effort. Henry finishes his double cheeseburger and crumples the wrapper as he says, "So, Mia, can you ask Mr. Tanner?" "Just kidding, it's impossible, right?" But I still think something should be done. I was unsure if this was something I could ask my father. That's true. It might be difficult to ask him, but it seems like the system should be changed. Yeah, you think so too, right? Let's take action first. We'll document all past cases and submit them. We'll convey our request and have headquarters consider it. I wonder if it'll work. I start convincing the hesitant Henry. Let's at least try. Yeah, just talking won't change anything. The next day, we started gathering information from around the factory, involving our supervisors. It was tough to do amidst daily tasks, but our persistence paid off, and a few months later, the documents were ready. We entrusted them to our supervisor, Simon, timing it with a general meeting at headquarters, and felt a sense of relief. While taking a break and drinking a cup of coffee, my colleague Luke approached me. "I heard the documents are finished." "Good job." Since we had been gathering information throughout the factory, everyone was aware of the situation. "It's finally done. I hope it leads to some changes." "It will. I'm impressed by your initiative, Mia. You really take after Mr. Tanner." "What? How do you know that?" "Sorry, I got it out of Henry. I was curious why you were taking the lead." "Only I know, so don't worry." "Is that so?" I felt a mix of emotions but believed Luke was sincere. "It'd be great if you became the CEO, Mia. You're diligent, hardworking, and you did this for the factory." "Me as CEO? No way." I laughed it off, and Luke laughed along with me. He had worked at the factory for over 20 years. And always treated me the same, like Henry. His consistent kindness and brightness were reassuring. A few months later, Simon returned from the general meeting and called everyone together excitedly. Simon says to the employees who have gathered around saying, "What is it? What's going on?" Authority at the field level has been partially changed. Hearing this, the employees started buzzing. I instinctively looked for Henry. Noticing my gaze, he raised his fist from the outer edge of the group. Not all our hopes were realized, but nearly half had been approved. That day, everyone congratulated me, and I felt genuinely happy. Filled with a sense of accomplishment and renewed motivation, I continued to have fulfilling days. One day, my father called me to headquarters. Wondering why he would call me out specifically, I left my afternoon duties and headed to headquarters. Entering the CEO's office, my father first praised my efforts. I hadn't told him anything, but he seemed to have looked into it. Apparently, the company's numbers had improved significantly because of it, and after a hearty laugh, he turned serious and said, "Mia, you have management skills and vitality. It's time you seriously consider taking over as CEO." Hearing my father's words, I felt excited. Listening to and acting on feedback, seeing employees thrive in a better workplace. As CEO, I could drive changes on a larger scale. I could make it even easier to work, though the responsibility would be heavier. I had almost made up my mind, but I told him I needed time to think and went home that day. I questioned myself alone in my room. Can I really do this? Can I handle the responsibility? That night, I had trouble falling asleep. The next morning, despite being sleep deprived, I visited my father at headquarters with a clear mind. "About what we discussed yesterday, please let me do it. I would like to take on the role," I told him sincerely. My father said, "That's great, thank you," and started discussing the upcoming schedule. "What? Mia, you're going to be the CEO?" "Henry, please don't shout. It's just Henry and me in the break room during lunch." Thinking it was a good opportunity, I told him about becoming the CEO. Sorry. But I can't believe you're really becoming the CEO. Everyone will be surprised. That's the thing. I think I'll be transferred to headquarters soon, but I'm struggling with how to explain it to everyone. Just tell the truth. It's a bit scary to tell them I'm CEO's daughter. I decided to open up about my past. How close friends left me once they found out, how I was sad about being treated differently, and how I tended to close off my heart as a child. Henry listened empathetically and said, "Some people might not be able to treat you the same, that's true. But everyone knows how hard you've worked. They trust you. And you might find that many people's attitudes don't change at all." Is what he said right? Henry's words made me feel that could be true, but my heavy memories resisted further thinking. In the end, I only gave a vague response. On my way home from work, I checked my phone and saw a message from Sam. I hadn't seen Sam for a while. When I finally had time after preparing the documents for headquarters, Sam had entered his busy season. It's not just about the factory, I need to think about Sam too. Sighing as the train rocks. I wonder if I can tell him the truth. What will happen if I do? Soon after, the date for my transfer to headquarters was set. I would leave the factory in a few weeks. Still unsure how to tell everyone, I found myself in the archive room. The dusty room was filled with various documents. I opened a box near the entrance and pulled out a thick bundle tied with black string. It was my work diary. Looking back from my first day, forgotten memories resurfaced. Being a clueless newbie, being taught kindly. Colleagues talking to me as I learned the ropes. And someone buying me a cup of coffee when I was down after a mistake. As I looked through the diary, my resolve strengthened. It's not about whether they'll accept me or not. I should express my gratitude and sincerity by telling the truth. Having made up my mind, I left the archive room. I would announce my transfer during the Monday morning meeting. Encouraged by Simon, I stepped forward. Everyone waited to hear what I had to say, while Henry and the colleagues who knew the situation watched from the back. I explained that I was CEO's daughter and would be taking over the company, expressing my gratitude. To my surprise, it was easy to say what I had been worrying about. As I looked around at everyone, I was astonished at myself. Everyone seemed to be in shock, but Henry was the first to speak up, congratulating me loudly, and others quickly followed suit. The atmosphere softened, and I felt relieved. I received their supportive cheers with a clear and grateful heart. Later, everyone invited me out for drinks. They wanted to celebrate my new position as CEO, so we headed to a diner like it was a Christmas party. I'm so happy to see so many people participating that I'm kind of on the verge of tears. I felt confident that I was accepted that much. They had reserved a different place than usual for the celebration, and we all boarded the train together. After about 15 minutes, we arrived at a well-known seafood diner. We chatted about all sorts of things, and as the drinks flowed, I felt a warm sense of happiness. A couple of hours passed before I realized it. So I decided to go to the restroom to clear my head. The diner was bustling at 8 p.m., and every seat was taken. As I looked around, fascinated by the new place, a familiar voice caught my ear. I couldn't help but listen. The voice was insulting someone. Against my instinct to leave, my body moved toward the table where the voice was coming from. It felt like my body wasn't my own. She was trying to hide it, but everyone in the seminar at the college knew. I wouldn't date her if she weren't the CEO's daughter. She's such a plain girl. As I feared, there was a group of 4 in suits, and Sam was among them. She's working at the factory, and her clothes are always so dull. I don't even feel like taking her to a nice place. If she invited me to her parents' mansion, maybe I'd put in some effort. I couldn't comprehend what my beloved Sam was saying. Sam noticed me standing there. He seemed deeply intoxicated, his eyes glassy. I could feel his dissatisfaction and resentment toward me so clearly that I couldn't move. Do you think you're worth anything? All you have is your status as the CEO's daughter. Sam's glare made me question if he even recognized me. He staggered towards me and poured his glass of beer over my head. The glass was full, and the liquid drenched my hair and face. Droplets fell, wetting the floor. What a waste of years. Let's break up. I'm done with you. Sam shouted, and I could only nod in agreement. Quietly, I distanced myself from Sam and informed my colleagues that I was leaving early. Luckily, everyone was too drunk to notice. Stepping outside, the cool night air touched my cheeks. The cold droplets in my hair made my scalp feel freezing. Not wanting to take the train in this state, I reluctantly called for a car. My father had provided a car and driver when I was appointed CEO. The driver was someone I'd known since childhood, and the car was familiar. I wanted to relax in the familiar seat as I watched the traffic on the main road. Just then, the entrance of the diner opened, and someone came out. You're still here. You look pathetic in those wet clothes. Sam, supported by a colleague, was stumbling out. My heart was shattered, unable to endure any more of Sam's words. Such violent words. Ms. Tanner, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. A voice from behind caught my attention. Ms. Tanner. Sam looked at me with wide eyes. Please, get in here. The driver says, guiding me to the back seat. Wait a minute. That was just a joke. You should have told me you were becoming the CEO. Let's keep dating, Sam pleads desperately. I see Sam desperately chasing after me over the driver's shoulder, my eyes void of any emotion. Feeling nothing but a faint sense of disgust. Ms. Tanner is tired. Please leave. The driver says, confirming that I'm inside before closing the door. As the car starts moving, my tears begin to fall uncontrollably. They stream down my face, dripping off my chin onto my lap. What did I ever see in him? How could he have been like that? After crying for a while, I start to calm down, and I realize it was my fault. Expecting to maintain a relationship without revealing my true self was unrealistic. This thought makes me feel lighter. I wipe my tears with a handkerchief and look out the window. The night sky is dotted with stars, with clouds drifting here and there. It feels like being at the bottom of the ocean, floating peacefully with the gentle waves. I think about my colleagues at the factory. And then about Henry. Being accepted for who I am brings such a sense of security. Rubbing my swollen eyes, I fall asleep. A year and a half has passed since I became the CEO. Even after moving to headquarters, I often visit the factory under the guise of inspections whenever I feel nostalgic. Today, I brought some treats with me. Despite the difficulties, you're managing just fine. That's so like you, Mia. I respect that. Not really, I always rely on everyone's support. I say, smiling as I spread out the snacks I brought. Even after becoming CEO, my colleagues still call me Mia. It feels like coming home. As I bask in this happiness, Henry approaches me. So, where should we go for our honeymoon? Surprised by the sudden private question, I look around. The colleagues I was chatting with earlier seem to have returned to their posts. Hey, we haven't announced it yet. Be careful. As I visited the factory more frequently, Henry and I grew closer, eventually starting to date, and we got engaged last month. Don't worry. I checked, no one's around. Where do you want to go? Overseas? I want to go to the sea. I answer before I can think. Why? I've always thought that if I go with Henry, it has to be the sea. Maybe an island? I'll look into it. Henry says with a smile. I'm looking forward to it. I imagine sitting on the beach with Henry, watching the ocean in bright sunlight. The thought alone makes my heart race and my cheeks soften into a smile.